Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Morning, and welcome to the first session of Blueprint. And what an exciting lineup of very distinguished speakers we have today. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you especially for putting up with me once more, like, oh my God, outside of the class as well. Yeah, but then I'm not the point. Mr. Vats is. I'm going to start with a little anecdote. So I grew up, which will tell you that I'm also of a particular vintage. I grew up reading the stories of jungle lore of Kenneth Anderson and Jim Corbett. And what was really fascinating to me was not just, the world that came out in terms of the natural beauty of the flora and fauna of India, but also about this interconnected ecosystem of dark bungalows in the middle of the forest, of hunters turned conservationists, of indigenous communities who were second to none in the knowledge of the forests where they had lived, they had preserved, respected, and conserved for generations. It's a beautiful world. I feared it was a world which was lost in the mists of time and over tourism. So imagine my delight when I first learnt about Nature Safari, a company whose vision is steeped in conservation of local wildlife and local communities through responsible tourism, in providing memorable experiences to guests, but with minimal carbon and water footprints. We are so honored to have with us today Mr. Sharad Vats, the founder of Nature Safari, and he'd founded this company literally with the raison d'etre of conservation through tourism. Please join me in extending a warm ISH welcome to Mr. Vats.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure's all mine.
Thank you. Sharad, to begin at the beginning. From spotting your first tiger at age 22 to a distinguished career in hospitality, and then bringing these two loves together in the founding of Nature Safari. Could you take us through the journey? And what was the seed of the idea for Nature Safari?
All right. So, I was 22. I was working with the Taj Group of hotels then. And we had gone for a small outing to Ranthambore National Park. And I saw my first tiger. It was a tigress. And after about a few seconds, we realized that she had 3 cubs as well come out. I was mesmerized. I was hypnotized. Came back to the hotel, slept, and the whole sighting was rewinding through me whole night. Next day morning, I got up and I thought to myself, what happened to you yesterday, Sharad? First time in my life that I was really thinking about something. It's the whole thought stayed with me for hours. Said, okay, time to do something about it. Started to learn more about tigers, about jungles, about forests. Back then, the time when we grew up, we were not so fortunate to go to the national parks. It was not part of a curriculum really. Now, today, much later when I saw my daughter grow up and I saw that she was reading about Kanha National Park, about Ranthambore, it was such a delight. Glad it's found its space and place in the curriculum today. But way back then, we were totally ignorant. There was no internet, nowhere to surf, nowhere to search, but to go through and try and do your own hard work. So, went around looking, and I was fortunate that I had a super senior at the Taj called Divya Bhanu Singh Chavda, who was at that point in time the Vice President of Operation Northern India. I immediately went to him next day when I came back. I said, sir, I want to know more about wildlife, about forest. He gave me the first book on Indian wildlife. I read that, and that really got me thinking. I went and I asked him again, what next? He says, now you go to Jim Corbett National Park. I came back deeply rooted that place, and then I read Jim Corbett, and I found a purpose. It was very clear as to what I had to do, but how I did not know. As today you hear that, if you know what to do, how is in the domain of the universe. So again, some more research started, and I realized what were the problem that the tiger was facing. Primarily 3. 1, poaching, I realized there's nothing I can do about it. As a 22-year-old, I just couldn't, with absolutely no background. Second, fragmentation of habitat. Again, I couldn't do much about it. Okay, it's happening in different areas, remote areas. I, as a 22-year-old, did not have a reach. I still had, to take home a salary. Third, when I did some more homework, I realized that people who are staying around these national parks are dependent on the national parks for biomass, for food, for roots, for fruits, for bamboo, for medicinal herbs, practically everything. They were dependent on the forest. And they were dependent because there was no economy really around there. So what is it that I can do? And being a tourism professional at that point in time, I thought, yes, and at that point in time, they weren't hotels, so they weren't places around the national parks, barring one or two here and there, primarily the dark bungalows and maybe one odd camp somewhere. That tourism has the potential, and as Dilip also pointed out very rightly, it's a proven fact when it comes to the kind of money it generates, kind of employment it generates. So I thought way back in the early 90s that is something that I need to do, but tourism with a purpose. Back then, I had not even heard something called as sustainability or responsible tourism. It did not exist. Plastic did not exist when we were born. So obviously these terms were not there. So, all right, conservation through tourism. How can we conserve the tiger in the entire landscape? And why I chose the tiger, not only because it became my first love, but tiger is at the apex of the whole food chain. By conserving the tiger, you are protecting the whole chain. One individual tiger needs about 50, 60 animals to feed on, deers. Those deers also need some grasslands. They also need some area habitat, So to save the tiger, you have to ensure that his food is there, his habitat is there, his water is there. So began this journey of conservation through tourism way back. And then over the next 10 years, I was just going around in the different national parks across the country. And that really taught me a lot. I went into central India, I went into Northeast, I went into South, and I did a lot of homework as to what really is lacking and what can be done. And with all that, Nature Safari India was born in the year 2000 for the single purpose of conservation through tourism. Conserve the tiger, conserve the place it stays, conserve the communities which protect. The decisions of protecting tigers are taken in the cities, but it's the local community who's staying with the tigers in the backyard who actually protect them. I've interacted with those locals who love tigers despite being threatened by it, despite losing their cattle on a very regular basis. They still respect it. So there was a time way back in 70s, 80s, 90s when, they would, some of them, not all, but maybe a small percentage would poison a tiger kill. So the tiger would go back to the cattle and he would be dead. But some policies came and some organizations came, some non-profit organizations came, and they started to say, okay, no, if your cattle is picked by the tiger, we will give you the money. We will compensate you. So things like that started to happen. And so protecting the local community was very important. Generating an economy for them was very important. And tourism, because when you go on a safari, and many of you have already been there, the guide has to be paid for, the driver has to be paid for, the locals who are working the resorts, they are getting salary because of the fact that you are visiting the national parks. So that's why conservation through tourism.
That's fascinating, and it gives us a lot of food for thought. I want to delve a little bit more about, you've been speaking about the local communities and how that's a very, very integral sort of part of conservation through tourism. Now, Nature Safari itself is so connected to doing a lot of work with local communities. They're working for educating the children of forest guards of the local Adivasi communities. They're working for water conservation. They're working at cleaning up the ecosystems around the forest where, and we forget as tourists, we're sharing those ecosystems and those surrounding areas with the communities who made it their home for centuries and generations. Could you share a little bit more about these initiatives with us, and also on how tourism and we as individuals, let's focus on all of us in the room, how can we focus on promoting the welfare of local communities through tourism rather than exploiting them?
So coming back to as to what we are doing in the area, we are working with certain non-profit organizations in different national parks. I'll give you examples of, say, just Kanha National Park as of now. We are working with 4 different organizations. There's one which is working on water conservation. Now, come summer months, water is as essential for humans as it is for animals. And with the way the climate change is happening and erratic behavior of monsoon, if the monsoon gets delayed but the sun does not, the sun only starts to get stronger, what happens to the animals? Where do they find water? So there are people who are working to ensure that there is water inside the national parks. So we collaborate with them and we actually work with them. We also work with an organization called Earth Focus, who are working on education. We are also working with another school wherein the school caters to the students. There are the children of the forest guards, the drivers, the guides, the forest guards who are staying inside the national park, 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers away from a small tehsil, small town. They can't go anywhere else for education. But how does education reach there? So we've done certain tie-up. This school is called Bhur Singh School, and you'll be surprised how a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old introduces himself, a tribal child, in English. When I first made my first hotel in Kanha National Park in 2006, the local school in the village close by, in the 10th standard, 21 students failed out of 25. We got our managers, our HODs to start working with the school. Our managers started to teach them. Our chef also started to started to do that. Next year, and we announced certain scholarships. Next year, 22 out of 25 passed. So, and that journey has only, taken more ground. We have expanded. There are about 40 schools with whom we are working through this organization called Earth Focus. We are right there with them. So there are efforts for plantation of trees. In last 2 years, we've planted about 30,000 trees. We can't be always withdrawing from the area. You need to give back. So 30,000 trees, and it's the delight that you get, the joy that you get when you see a tree that you planted just about 1 feet, and today it's about 7 feet, 8 feet. It's amazing. It's unparalleled. I mean, a Jaguar or a BMW, yes, will give you a delight for a week, 10 days, till the time your family and friends see it. But a tree, when you see grow, because I heard my grandfather tell me, ye aam ka ped maine lagaya tha. I did not understand his joy, but today I do. Or my nani, ye amrud ka ped maine lagaya tha. But today I understand, man. And the best time to plant tree is today. If you haven't done it already, then it's today, and take care of it. I mean, that's the least we can actually do. I mean, in our the question arises as to what can I do? Well, the least and very simple thing to do is plant a tree. Is varsh ek vraksh.
Is varsh ek vraksh. Now imagine if all of us are following it every single varsh.
I mean, we'll have 8 billion trees on the planet. And take care of one tree, that's all. Let's not underestimate the power of one tree. It sequesters 14 tons of carbon every year, one tree. And it gives oxygen to about 24 humans every year. It's a habitat for so many birds. It's an ecosystem. By planting a tree, we planted a forest. Think like that. Don't think, ek ped ka kya hoga? No. Do your one tree. That one tree is massive for a bird. It's massive. Even a dead tree in a forest, why is it not lifted? Because a dead tree in a forest is also home to about 200 different types of insects. So, unfortunately, today in the garb of development, we are only cutting. There was this news a couple of days back about the trees being cut in Hyderabad, Telangana area, thousands of acres just being vacated, being auctioned. That's sad, but that should not stop any one of you to plant a tree. There is a saying, and I believe in it 100%, कि इस दुनिया में लकड़हारे तो बहुत सारे हैं, पर पेड़ भी कभी हारे हैं.
Beautiful.
Learn from the nature. It's only giving back. So the fact that, they've destroyed 10,000 trees, so what? Let them. That's their job. Let them do it. They're earning their bit. Let them do it. You do your bit. So, yeah.
There's some incredible life lessons here, but here's turning it a little bit, pivoting a little bit to some leadership lessons. You'd mentioned the tiger as the apex predator, which he is. He's at the top of the food chain. And Mr. Vats has actually written a book on leadership lessons from the tiger. It's called The Tiger CEO. And he has also very kindly brought a copy along with him. And I would highly recommend it. I'm deeply engrossed in it right now. I would highly recommend the book. And one of the most fascinating aspects for me, out of several fascinating aspects, is that how you have drawn leadership lesson parallels between the tiger and personalities as diverse as Chhatrapati Shivaji, Mahatma Gandhi, Elon Musk. I mean, that's as diverse a roster as it can get. So could you tell us a little bit more about, especially our young learners going out, the future leaders of tomorrow? What are the kind of leadership lessons that we can learn from the tiger, and also some of your own tiger CEO moments through the course of your career?
So as I mentioned, that my first sighting was in 1990. And over the next few years, the sightings kept on happening. They kept on increasing. Very close encounters. At times it was, the first tiger was about 20 meters away. Then the closest that got to me was about 1 inch away. That was in Ranthambore. So then an incident happened with me in 2014. I was in Dudhwa National Park. I was trying to see the elephants there. One fine evening, 20th December, about 5 in the evening, we saw elephants at a distance about 100 meters off. And it was already getting foggy. My naturalist, he had binoculars. He looked through the binoculars and he saw that between us and the elephants, there was a crouching tiger on the track. We were surprised. So the tiger is trying to follow the elephants. Now there were 2 elephants, mother and the ant, and they were there to protect the young calf. The calf, which was about a month or month and a half old only. And there is a tiger who's following, trying to get the calf. I saw the whole incident for about 20 minutes. Only car. And it was a mental combat that was happening because the tiger and the elephant, they respected each other a lot. Tiger knew that if he gets close into the striking distance, he'll get a fatal kick of his life. Elephants knew that if they leave the track and if they get into the elephant grass, the tiger can easily crouch and sneak in and he can just give one lethal blow to the young one. The young one will die in 2 days, that he can come back and eat it. Elephants won't be able to carry a calf, won't be able to give him first aid. I saw that and I said, man, an elephant which weighs about 6,000 kilos and 2 of them versus a tiger which is 250 kilos. It's actually no battlefield at all. But what was it in a tiger that he was not giving in? He was taking on to 12,000 kilos at one strike. Then I thought, a tiger is fearlessly intelligent. He does not know fear in a jungle. And as someone, a wise one had said, that fear is the biggest misuse of our imagination. He does not know fear. Anyway, so let me come back to that incident. So the tiger, he left the grassland. He went into the grassland. We got in close to the tiger, to the elephants. I took some snaps. Then I wanted to see where the tiger is. I turned and I kept my camera. Our eyes connected and the tiger came charging. He came charging. He came flying on the grass and growling, roaring. He came literally on the grass, and about 40, 50 meters he was inside. He covered that distance in about 3 seconds, 4 seconds. This was a distance about a feet. His whole mouth open, all 4 canines. I smelt the tiger for the first time. But he stood there for a second or 2, or maybe less than a second, but he stopped, he turned back, and he flew again at the same time. That really got me thinking. And that's when this book, the thought for this book was born. The Tiger CEO. That you don't always have to win your battle. You must know when to withdraw. You must know when not to fight and come back at a later date. That's what even Sun Tzu says in Art of War. The best battles are the ones that we don't fight. And that's what even Gita, Lord Krishna, he was also called Ranchhordas. At times you have to leave the battlefield for not to fight and come back at a later date at your own terms, your own ground, your own everything. So then I got thinking, and after that, all the sightings that actually happened, I started to document. I started to write as to what did I learn from this sighting. So what I learned from that sighting was he's fearless. Subsequently, there are so many leadership qualities suddenly came out, and I realized, man, no wonder he's at the apex of the food chain here. He is the CEO of the forest. He has all the qualities that a CEO of a corporate world requires. Then I listed down 42 different qualities and I put them in a book. And I found parallels with the various leaders going back to Chhatrapati Shivaji, coming to Steve Jobs, coming to Mahatma Gandhi, Elon Musk, and the likes, and who not. There is so much. So, if I talk about qualities, for example, a very important thing is it's very lonely at the top for a CEO. Very lonely at the top. He's all by himself. Dilip smiles. So a tiger spends 85% of his time alone. Seclusion is the price that one must pay for greatness. Are we willing to spend time by ourselves? 85% of his life he's spending alone. A male tiger. A female, yes, she has to bring up her children. She's spending more time with them. But a male, he's patrolling his territory. He's taking care. He's ensuring there is no competition coming in here. His regular territory rounds that he does is basically to just check that there is no competition from any other male tiger coming in. So it started to list down various things. And then this book was born.
Absolutely amazing. So there we have it. From eternal vigilance to the importance of knowing when to withdraw from battle.
Sorry, can I interrupt? Just remembered one more thing from the book, and that was adversity. The whole forest is his enemy. His own pug marks become his enemy because he's tracked. His own scent is his enemy. Sambar can smell him from a distance and start giving alarm calls. Monkeys can see him from miles and start giving alarm calls. The wind gives in. And so the whole jungle is his enemy, but he still carries on. He still carries on daily for the rest of his life. So let's not, look at excuses. Oh, I wish I had that. I wish I had that. No, man. What you have is enough already. Is enough. We have an able body. We've had a very good upbringing. Very good that we are in such a wonderful, esteemed institution. Nothing stops you from being the future CEOs of the in different industries.
Incredible life lessons, and I'm sure they've been internalized. We have time for one quick question, unfortunately due to the constraints of time, but we're also making sure that Mr. Vats comes back to us. We're just essentially laying the ground for that. So show of hands, one quick question, please. Yeah, Dilip, please.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to, when Sharad talked about trees and planting a tree, I was just looking through my mail. Last year on my birthday, two of my friends gifted me where they planted 100 trees in my name in a particular part of Uttarakhand where this effort is going on. So even if you're wondering, should I plant a tree for myself as he suggested, gift a tree to somebody.
Yep.
I'm going to share this link I have with Anu, and that may be a way of you to, I don't know what it cost. It was just gifted to me, but it was wonderful. And today, and by the way, you can geo-track your trees. Yep. The way this thing works is that there's a way in which you can see. So as he said, watching that tree grow, you can actually do it now. So I think you really must, at least the one thing Mr. Vats said which you must do is plant a tree or gift a tree to somebody. So that was the comment I wanted to make.
Thank you.
That's incredible. Manya, very brief question. Very brief. One question.
Okay, one question and...
I love you, but one question.
Yes, ma'am, I love you too. I'll keep it to one question. I wanted to ask, sir, when we look into, creating awareness via tourism and we, expose people who are from urban cities towards local culture, how do we stop gentrification of that culture from happening while also raising awareness about conservation?
I think education. you must know why you are here. I mean, as a tourism provider or as a lodge owner or whatever, why you are here, what are the practices that are put in place there, sustainable practices. And Dilip also mentioned that hotels are expanding left, right, and center, but how many of them are sustainable? I think 99.99% are not. So anything and everything that you do in a park, in the area around, or not, why only in the park, even in the cities, make it sustainable and impart that education to people who are coming or who are traveling. It has to have a purpose. Tourism has to have a purpose. It's not only a weekend break, chalo chalte hain, beer piyenge, daru piyenge, chicken tikka khayenge. No, there has to be a purpose. Travel, and I know for a fact that, many people and many civilization, travel teaches you two things. One is learning. The purpose of travel should be learning and also adventure. While most of us focus only on adventure, we do not focus on learning. So anything that we do, there should be lessons in it. That's what.
Great question. A lot of food for thought. Thank you so much again for joining us today. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for being an amazing audience.
Thank you.